Everybody, welcome to Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Rob, and today we're going to do a recap of the Canelo Alvarez-Alfredo-Angulo fight, and also the Danny Garcia, Mauricio Herrera fight. I was about to say somebody else's name. Sorry, but yes, we're going to recap those two fights, and let's get right into it. We're probably about a week behind on the Canelo fight. Sorry, we celebrating our birthdays the last couple weeks. Getting turned up? Not really.
But turned old.
Yeah, so scheduling difficulties. But here we go. Basically, it kind of went like the way we thought it would. It ended in the round that I predicted it would, just not the person who ended it was the one who ended it. I was kind of wrong on this one. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, look, everyone's wrong every now and again. What do we know? The weight was changed from 154 to 155, if I'm not mistaken, the day of the fight.
Yes.
Which Canelo was the one who made 155. Now, he probably wasn't going to try to drain down like he did in the Mayweather fight, right, and which probably helped him out in this fight because he looked a lot more in shape. He looked ready to go. Probably got down to his limit. Probably not going to stay in 154 much longer. And to fight a guy like Angulo, who, in my opinion, came down a lot. Some tells me he gained a lot of weight, drained down for this fight because he didn't look like his old self. And Canelo was the bigger and stronger of the two, which was surprising and unexpected. So you could tell throughout the fight, and because Angulo has no head movement, and he kind of just tries to walk you down. Canelo just teed off on him, was just reeling off combination after combination, which with Canelo is what you expect to do. And he didn't have to move much. He did a lot of rolling with Angulo's punches, so he did not look as worse for wear as Angulo did with this fight.
Yeah, that movement was impeccable. The rolling with the punches, the head movement, body twisting. He even smothered Angulo, like walking forward. He pretty much dictated everything that happened in this fight. As far as the weight goes, like Rob said, we really think that Angulo came down from way too far because one, he was over 154 as well, right, and two, he rehydrated almost to light heavyweight. So that's never a good sign for a fighter. They had a good game plan as far as Angulo. They had the same game plan they had for the Lara fight, which was kind of throw a little throwaway punches, then lower the boom, and kind of work from there. Unfortunately, Canelo was just too strong, too sharp. His defense has improved greatly in the last few fights. You saw him using that head movement and body movement and rolling against Austin Trout. Didn't use it too much against Mayweather.
No.
Open target all night for him. But with Angulo, I mean, he was making a miss and he was less than 2 feet away from him the whole time. It was a thing of beauty, really. Those combinations, like Rob said, were magnificent. And the force of his punches was really surprising.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was really cracking Angulo to the head and body all night with some sharp hooks, crosses, and uppercuts. His punch selection was great. Really, like, I know a lot of like the post-fight press and talk has been a lot about Angulo and how they may have stopped the fight early or not. I don't think people are giving Canelo enough props. He really did well in this fight, and we need to give him his props for that. And I did say in the preview video, if he was to win and stop Angulo, I will give him major props. And I have to give him major props because not only did he do it, he looked great doing it.
Yeah, of course. And to be honest, he's trying to rebuild. They're not going to give him. They're going to give him challenges, but nothing of the approaching kind of Mayweather echelon just yet. If you saw the press conference, the post-fight press conference, Irislandis Laura came up, called him out. Not really a strong call out as you would see some other boxers would do, but he called him out nonetheless. I believe his next fight is on July 26th, and that will be against Carlos Molina, who was actually pulled from the card due to some legal issues and wasn't able to fight Jamel Charlo.
Yeah, that's if he doesn't get deported.
Right.
Yeah, he's got a major battle on his hands. Hopefully all that turns out well for everybody involved. Arislandi Lara is fighting Ishe Smith in May 2nd. So that's probably going to scratch him from the July fight. But maybe Canelo's third fight of the year, which is supposed to be like late September, October, around that time. They could get together then. So we'll see what happens. Lara has to get through Ishe Smith first. He should, but Ishe Smith is a tough out every time he comes out. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. Let's move. Oh, go ahead.
Well, as for the rest of the card, Leo Santa Cruz beat Christian Mijares. A good fight tonight was a guy that we both like, which is Nihito Arakawa. He had a very good scrap against Jorge Linares, and if you don't know Jorge Linares, he's a great boxer, great offensive mind. Not quite the chin that you would like on a boxer, but he had a really good outing. And Sergio Thompson beat down Canelo's brother.
Is it Ricardo Alvarez?
Yeah, Ricardo Alvarez knocked him down twice. So Sergio Thompson, I believe, is the mandatory for Omar Figueroa, who was pulled from that card due to injury.
Yep.
Now moving on.
Yes, let's move on to this past Saturday where we had Mauricio Herrera stepping up to the challenge Danny Garcia for the 140-pound title. We also had Deontay Wilder versus Malik Scott, and that didn't go long at all.
Now, if you know Deontay Wilder, just a quick blur. I like Malik Scott. Very good boxer. Not really a power puncher. He had a couple of tough outings against Derek Chisora, which, let's face it, he probably could have went longer in that fight, but things happened. And of course, against Glasgow, which was an egregious, to use Stephen A. Smith's term, egregious draw. A lot of people thought he won that fight, but against Deontay Wilder, who he sparred with a lot, he was just facing a guy who has his flaws, but makes up for it with size and concussive power.
Yeah, he is changing lives when he hits people. And we've talked about Wilder a lot. We always talk about, oh, his footwork's not there yet, his hand position's not there yet. There's a lot of things that aren't there yet. But guess what? When you hit people in the face and they go down and they stay down, doesn't matter.
And this knockout wasn't just the right hand. He caught him with a left. Didn't look too strong, but it is a heavyweight. He caught Scott with a long left hook to the temple, then followed it up with the right. The right didn't lead cleanly, but that left did. And I think that's what actually took him out. Yeah,
watching it full speed, you didn't really see the left hook land, but when you saw the slow motion and you saw his head tilt to the side and that sweat fly off, he was like, yeah, that looked pretty hard. But watching it real time, you didn't really see it. But yeah, Wilder, we now know he has power in more than just his right hand. He can knock you out with either hand, and we're not talking about knock you down, you get back up, the ref says, all right, you can't continue. These guys aren't getting up. And a lot of and like Lai Hogan, she left him convulsing and twitching in the ring. These are nasty knockouts he's getting. So we really want to see what happens when he gets to that top tier guys and see if he can put those guys out too, or if they're going to finally take advantage of those flaws that we've been talking about. That's why you got to watch him when he's ready to fight, because you don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to flatten him, or will they finally get through to those flaws and exploit them?
Now, this is the step up that people have been talking with Deontay Wilder. This was a title eliminator for the vacant WBC. He'll fight the winner of Areola Stavern, which will be another entertaining scrap.
Yep.
And we'll see if he fights Areola, it's going to be power versus power.
Yep.
If he fights Stavern, it's going to be a power puncher versus a boxer. So both of those are going to be interesting. We'll see what happens when Arreola fights Stavern, and maybe after that, if he beats one of them, we'll see him fight Klitschko.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of the heavyweight division. You got to get through Klitschko if you want to be the champ. And if he can land some of those bombs on Klitschko, might be bringing the belts back to America. But Klitschko hits hard too. So it'll be entertaining while it lasts.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
now just moving on to the main event in Puerto Rico. That's Danny Swift Garcia versus Mauricio Herrera. Everyone thought this was going to be a showcase. If you don't know Mauricio Herrera, he's an upset specialist. Took Mike Alvarado tooth and nail. Has a win against Provodnikov for ESPN Friday Night Fights, and he put up a great showing against Kareem Mayfield. Yeah. Now they just picked him again. Thought it was going to be a showcase fight. If you've been watching Herrera like we had, we thought it might be a showcase fight, but we know it would have been a tough out, and that's exactly what it was.
It was more than a tough out. This was a very close fight to everyone except for two of the judges. Going into maybe like the 7th and 8th round, I was thinking Garcia might need a knockout. Herrera's rhythm really threw Danny Garcia off. His jab, he kind of threw like a 1-2 grab or one grab and would work off of that. It really threw Danny Garcia off. The movement that he was given, the angles he was given, it really gave Danny Garcia fits. He couldn't land his left hook for most of the night. His right hand got there a little bit, but we know his money punch is that left hook, and Herrera took that from him from the jump and really, really made him work for this victory. Now, I do think Garcia pulled out most of those later rounds, but I would probably see like a 7-5 type of fight. Even like one of the judges had it a draw. 8-4 either way is pushing it, and I think that's what the other two judges did. 8-4 either for Garcia. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Now, I thought Mauricio Herrera at least deserved a draw. I mean, if you saw, he didn't land. He's not again not someone that has power. I think he only has about 9 knockouts out of 20-something fights.
Yeah. And on top of that, he still had Danny Garcia bleeding.
That's right. He caught him with a 1-2-1. That last one busted up his nose, and you could see Garcia's face. He was like, "Well, shit, I'm bleeding. Wait a minute, time out." And that was as he's backing up. And you know what we said: you don't back straight up.
Yeah, that's exactly how he got caught.
Now, I like Herrera's game plan. He was rough with Garcia. Again, throwing that 1-2, and he threw a lot to the body, which got a lot of scoring for Herrera. And another thing he did very well, and I think Danny really needs to watch out for, is that straight right hand, because he landed that quite a bit. And again, Danny Garcia was going straight back, and I guess he just misjudged the distance of it reaching him. So Herrera put up a great fight. I mean, he's going to continue to get fights because he's either going to be a tough out, and he's going to get one of them like he did on that Provodnikov fight.
Yeah, he's going to win another one eventually. He's, I guess, one of those spoiler type of guys that you bring him in there, you know he's going to be match tough, but at the end of the day, he probably doesn't have enough power to pull it out.
Right.
But there are going to be a couple guys that he is going to upset the apple cart against. So we're going to be looking forward to him fighting again.
That's right.
And this is probably going to put to rest all the talk of Danny Garcia fighting Floyd Mayweather. I know a lot of people were like, oh, you know, Danny Garcia should fight Mayweather after that Lucas Matisse fight. But you got to realize that is two totally different styles. And Garcia looks great against that style. But as you saw against someone who used a little bit of trickery in there, he had some issues. So now he has had that experience. They can maybe get him maybe like a Malignaggi at 147 if he beats Sean Porter on April 19th. That would be a great fight for him to step up to 147 and really, really test those waters and make him a viable candidate for that Mayweather sweepstakes.
Or if they want to give him a hard touch, Juan Carlos Abreu is a good one. That's who Tim Bradley fought his first fight at 147.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. The only person he's lost to is Tim Bradley. He recently upset Thomas Delorme, who was a big-time power puncher at 147, a big prospect. and now he's on the rebuilding because of that knockout loss to a breaker.
That's right. And another thing, the WBC open scoring, I'm calling shenanigans. That's total BS. I think that just takes fighters out of their game plan once they know how a fight is going. At this point, I mean, it should just be no open scoring, because to be honest, Steve Farhu, Paulie Malignaggi, and
Mauro Ranallo.
And yeah, they actually had most of the fight for Herrera going through about 9 rounds.
Yeah, 8 to 9 rounds.
So, I mean, because what they were looking at and what the judges were looking at, the open scoring, Danny could have either probably played it safe, or Herrera has to push himself and come out of his game plan, which he knows he's, you know, it's probably working for him.
Yeah. And it actually didn't work that way in this fight, but it did big time in the Canelo Trout fight.
That's right.
They announced those scores, and everyone's like, oh, this is a close fight, this is a close fight. It's like, Canelo has like 10 rounds, Trout has 2, and they're like, wait a minute. Or not quite those numbers, but
it was wide.
Yeah, it was a wide for Canelo, and so Austin Trout abandoned his game plan and really tried to go to Canelo, and that led to him getting countered a lot.
That's right.
So that's it, guys. We hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you share this video with your friends. We appreciate it. Comment down below. You can check us out on Facebook, Capital of Combat. You can check us out on Google+, same name, Capital of Combat. You can also send us an email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Any of those ways, we'd love to hear from you. You got any questions, shoot them to us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.